Head of State and Opposition leader meet to discuss GCOM's chair selection, and Prime Minister Moses Nagamutu declares that the government has built a solid foundation on which to stand. It's Thursday, July 4. President David Granger and Opposition leader Bharat Jagdeo met today for a high-level discussion on the list of nominees for the position of chairman of the Ghana Elections Commission.
There were several issues on the agenda, but the main issue was to seek agreement on the means to be adopted for the nomination and appointment of the chairman of the Elections Commission.
That meeting between His Excellency President David Granger and opposition leader Dr. Bharat Jagdeo lasted for just about 1 hour. The contingent with the opposition leader included Bishop Wan Ejel, Anil Nandalal, Irfan Ali and Ms. Gail Teixeira.
We feel that unless and until the chairman is appointed, the work of the commission will not be able to move ahead as quickly as possible. Earlier in the year, as you know, we made it clear that we were interested in credible elections, but we at the same time wanted to make sure that we operated on the basis of advice by the chairman of the commission itself.
His Excellency said that everything is being done to ensure that the ruling of the CCJ is followed.
We are bound by the Constitution, Article 161, and there has been no variation from our position or the opposition position on the validity of that article. We are also bound now by the interpretation of the Caribbean Court of Justice, which has spoken twice on the issue of elections. And it was really in obedience to the last injunction by that court that I decided to meet the leader of the opposition to decide on a way forward.
Both sides are expected to meet in the shortest possible time. Here is the Director General of the Ministry of the Presidency, Joseph Harmon, explaining.
The meeting agreed that the process will be completed within the shortest possible time. In fact, the President indicated that he would like this process to be completed within days. So what that means is that the two sides will have to be engaged in what the CCJ call hammering out the names of persons to arrive at a list of 6, which the leader of the opposition will present to His Excellency, and from which he will choose one person to be named the chairman of the Elections Commission.
As stated by Director General Joseph Harmon, both sides will meet again very soon. From the Media Center at the Ministry of the Presidency, Felicia Valenzuela, InfoHub.
In today's post-cabinet roundup, the Ministry of Social Protection sounds a warning against the spread of misinformation. Cabinet status is clarified, and we are given an update on the Surinamese piracy COI. Let's join Paul McCallum for the details.
Cabinet met on July 2. Director General of the Ministry of the Presidency, Joseph Harmon, said Cabinet was alerted to false information being peddled that the Social Protection Ministry was handing out cash to citizens.
The Minister indicated that this information was patently false and that it was the cause of much chaos and confusion at the Ministry. She requested that the public should be so informed. The Minister also indicated that the Ministry was conducting investigations with respect to the source of the fake news and false information.
The police is investigating this issue. The Restorative Justice Bill 2019, the Adoption of Children Amendment Bill 2019, and the Narcotics and Psychotropic Substances Control Amendment Bill 2019, DG Harmon said, have been approved and will be laid before the National Assembly for passage. The latter bill is the government's first step, he says, towards decriminalizing marijuana usage.
I believe that it is something which our judiciary can in fact take notice of. We're not saying that they have to do it, but we're saying that they can take notice of it. And so in their the guidelines which they use for sentencing, that this can be taken into consideration, and the fact that this is the way the law is moving.
DG Harman also clarified the status of Cabinet and its functionality. This follows the ruling by the Caribbean Court of Justice.
Article 106, 107 speaks to the President and the government remaining in office. And so this question of clarification, whether the Cabinet meets or not, is in fact one of the submissions that's made to the CCJ for them to give clarity to it. So we will await the clarification of the CCJ on that matter.
DG Harman explained that the 2-month-long Suriname Piracy Attack Commission of Inquiry will shed light on several key issues. It will entail conducting extensive interviews and traveling to Suriname to gather evidence by Commissioner Dr. Rishi Sri Thakur.
He will determine whether, in fact, what other evidence is needed for him to arrive at his findings. So I think it is important for us as a nation that when wrongs are committed, when lives are lost, that we must have some closure to it for the family of the deceased persons and for the nation as a whole, that we can actually bring these things to conclusion.
It was also revealed by the Director General that there have been no adverse reactions from companies following alleged threats by the opposition leader, Bar Jagdeo.
We have not been advised by any of the foreign companies that operate in Guyana that they feel threatened by any such statement, and that as a result of that, they have decided not to do something which they had decided they will do. So I just want to give the assurance to all that we have a president, we have a government that's functioning, and that it is the responsibility and the duty of this government to ensure that the environment is there which allows for foreign companies to operate in this country and operate under conditions of peace and security.
Cabinet also gave its no objection to several contracts. These include one for much-needed internal rehabilitation works at the border market and another for the acquisition of a $17 million water ambulance for Berbice riverine communities. That's all for Cabinet Roundup.
Prime Minister Moses Nagamutu has stated unequivocally that the 4-year track record of rapid development under the coalition government ensures that it will not fall.
Speaking at a community meeting yesterday, the Prime Minister reminded residents of Golden Grove, Haslington and Nabakalis that after being elected in 2015, the government hit the ground running from day one. He explained the improvements seen across all sectors will ensure the government can withstand any attempts to undermine it.
This government will not fall. This government will not fail. This government will not falter. This is government.
Prime Minister Nagamutu highlighted that this community meeting is part of several planned engagements to meet with all citizens of Guyana at the grassroots level.
We plan this outreach as part of a wider outreach throughout Guyana, as what you call the mobile government. This is a government on wheels. It is going to the government, to the people, rather than people coming to the government.
PM Nagamutu stressed the importance of house-to-house registration and the youth vote.
This election is not about the past. This election is about the future. It's about our young people. That young people think differently than the older generation. They're not obsessed by racism and the color of skin and the texture of hair. They're not infected with the bias that has to do with gender prejudices. Young people are more open and liberal, and they see a world in which all are one. You must have fresh voter registration.
The government's team was comprised of Minister of State Don Hastings-Williams, Minister of Public Health Valda Lawrence, Minister within the Ministry of Agriculture with the responsibility for rural affairs Valerie Adams Yearwood, and Minister within the Ministry of Communities with the responsibility for housing, Annette Ferguson. For InfoHub, Rebecca Ganesh.
Still to come, dialysis patient to get assistance from the government, further expansion of East Coast Highway slated, and top-performing NGSA school highlighted. Details after the break.
Are you ready to embark on a truly epic adventure to an undiscovered corner of South America, where some of the most spectacular natural attractions are unveiled within a beautifully diverse landscape? From the wetlands and savannas to the ancient mountains, magnificent waterways and lush enriching rainforest would provide a vast playground for some of the most exotic and breathtaking creatures on the planet, including many of the world's giant species. This untouched land of mystery and wonder serves up an exclusive experience for travelers. So are you ready for a new, awe-inspiring adventure? Welcome back to nature. Welcome to Guyana.
Thanks for staying with us. The Public Infrastructure Minister has given his commitment to the extension of the East Coast Highway to the community of Hope, then further to Rosignol.
You know, you see the East Coast Widening Road program that's going on. It's supposed to stop at Belfield. But we took a decision. I took a decision last week that I'll bring it all the way up to Hope Bridge. So we're going to widen the road all the way up to double lanes, all the way up to Hope Bridge here.
Minister Patterson was at the time speaking at a community meeting in Ants Grove. He said in January of this year, the government of Guyana signed a loan agreement of $344 million with the government of Kuwait for the redesign of a 27-village road network from Belfield to Rosignol.
Nothing should pass Ants Grove, Cronbrook area. The roads should be the same as the rest of the East Coast because you are the same and you are equally deserving as everyone.
In 2016, the government of Guyana and the People's Republic of China signed a loan of $9.5 billion for the completion of the widening of the road between Better Hope and Belfield. Guyana has contributed $2.7 billion towards the project. Cinca Thorne, InfoHub.
A heartwarming moment occurred on Wednesday evening at the Enmore Hope Primary School on the East Coast Demerara when a resident seeking assistance for dialysis was given hope by Minister of Social Protection Amna Ali.
57-year-old Janet Ali was not sure her prayers would have been answered when she visited the Enmore Hope Primary School Wednesday evening. She had been in a desperate financial situation for some time now. With her kidney failing, the widow told InfoHub that she is forced to find $18,000 every week for dialysis treatment. Ali did not know that turning up to the ministerial outreach will put an end to her struggle. Minister of Social Protection Amna Ali promised to render assistance.
I'm doing dialysis 2 times a week, $18,000. I get an early party session and I asking for next party session and I asking for help because I got to do everything for myself. I feel better because the money very hard for me get $18,000 a week and can work anywhere.
Ali has also received the commitment of Minister of Business Himraj Rajkumar for assistance to restart her small poultry rearing business. She was forced to close it after running short on funds. Minister Amna Ali assured the Enmore resident that the government will put all efforts into assisting her. Reporting for InfoHub, Alexis Rodney.
Also earlier on Wednesday, the Ministry of Education announced that one of the top performers for the National Grade 6 assessment was of Graham's Hall Primary. But this is not the first time the East Coast Primary School has coveted the top position.
Established by the Moravian Church in 1918, Graham's Hall Primary School has been making waves at the National Grade 6 assessment for the past few years. The school has been known to produce several top performers at the NGSA. Back in 2012, Michael Bhopal tied for first place with Mays Primary School student Ramesh Gir with 547 marks. Speaking to InfoHub, Headmistress of Graham's Hall Primary School, Lydia Ram, expressed her satisfaction at this year's NGSA's results. She noted that both teachers and students showed tremendous dedication.
Lots of hard work, lots of revision, lots of construction. Teachers were constructing test questions, researching. They were not basically looking or using the past exam papers because they would have already exhausted using those papers for the last 2 terms. It was a constant working Sunday to Sunday. For the last 2 months, teachers were asking to come into school to work.
This dedication, she said, was matched equally by the students who were willing to put in the extra work. Grade 6 teacher Edna Daniels, who has been with the institution for 17 years, credited this year's NGSA's results to a lot of hard work.
I don't depend on textbooks alone. I believe in research because you can't find everything in the textbook. So I do lots of research, extensive research. And I also believe in peer tutoring.
I didn't expect this to happen, but I'm glad.
A day after receiving the great news, a somber Dave Chowti reflects on the journey ahead to secondary school.
I just expect to go there and do good, keep up the standard. That's basically it.
In addition to Chowti, 2 other students from Graham's Hall Primary School attained positions in the top 1%. They were Ria Chibilal and Juliana Prasad. For InfoHub, Anara Khan.
That's all for today. Connect with us on WhatsApp, Facebook, and YouTube. Much more news is on our website, dpi.gov.gy, and pop over to Instagram for the latest photo updates at DPI Guyana. Your bridge and weather reports are up next. Goodbye.